Welcome back, in keeping with today's guest and theme, to Kevin Pollak's Chat Show. I am, as always, Chat Show, and now visible to myself on the monitor in the studio. We're coming to you live, those of us that are watching us on the YouTube. Are you watching us on the YouTube? If not, what the hell is your problem? Write to us at contact@kevinpollakschatshow.com. Let us know how you, in fact, take in the show. I don't want to say watch or listen. You tell us. Contact@kevinpollakschatshow.com. As of this moment, this breaking news, Lou Reed dead. And the color girls go do. I just had to do the buffering gag. For those of you that watched SNL last night, we've been doing it for 4.5 years.
They couldn't get it right either.
No. They tried, though, didn't they?
They tried.
Yeah.
They were
and I got
off,
instant
though.
tweets.
Yeah.
What the fuck? Come on, it's not that original.
Right.
We created a buffering.
We own that gag. We own it.
I did.
If this is anyone but Steve Allen, you're stealing my bit.
There you go. Yeah, Lou Reed, 71 gone. And we also lost Marsha Wallace to Newhart and Simpsons fans.
They're retiring Mrs. Krabappel.
That came out instantly, that
Yes.
news also hit?
Characters being retired.
That's pretty great. Sam?
Yes, friend?
You've got a visitor with you today.
I do indeed.
Would you care? Well, we're not going to put her on camera.
We're not going to put her on camera.
Per the writer.
Per the writer,
And
her parole officer's watching. I don't want to get her in too much trouble.
Right.
But I know she can clearly be heard on my mic, which you guys turn way up.
Is it also about not rubbing it in Harris's face?
A little bit. Okay. A little bit. My sweet, wonderful mother came all the way from New Jersey just to see Jim Rash. Make no mistake about it.
Right.
Go ahead, Lynn, say hello to all your fans out there.
Hello, all my fans out there.
There it is. See, I'm not lying. She's really here.
I'm going to need one more, though, and can you...
just really project. Just get it right into the mic there.
Hello, all my fans out there.
Okay,
Thank you.
That's take two was way better.
Ships at sea. Speaking of which, I think maybe we can turn down the volume in the outer studio there. I'm starting to hear a fourth generation of myself.
That's what my texting was a second ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Are you subscribed to us on YouTube, Sam?
I don't see why not.
Yeah, it kind of makes sense.
I'm logged in right now.
Have you written a review? Are you? Have you written a review?
I will after
You're allowed
this.
to write one.
Well, I'm going to talk about the technical aspects,
For
and
sure.
it won't be favorable.
Our theme song, of course, brought to you by award-winning composer Brian Tyler. I haven't given him thanks in such a long time. And write to us and let us know your Larry King game or your questions for the guests or questions for us, one of which I happen to have right here. Dear Chat Show, I enjoy your podcast tremendously. Wanted to let you know that I think you're doing a great job and filling an important gap in the entertainment world. I don't mean the entertainment world like red carpets and shady contracts and 19-minute sitcoms, but the actual entertainment world, as in how people are entertained. I really appreciate the depth of your conversations with your guests, as well as your personal connection to their thoughts and anecdotes. I'm not a member of a Generation I, as in iMac, iPod, iBrain, iPhone, he wrote, who has come to know you through WTF. Rather, I'm 34 and grew up enjoying your stand-up on HBO. I'm 34 and grew up enjoying your stand-up?
Sure.
I don't understand the... Sammy, you're 31.
I grew up enjoying your stand-up.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Oh, let me refer. I grew up when your stand-up was on TV.
Yeah.
Is that what you're looking for?
Yes.
Okay, yes.
That was a clarification I
You
was looking
had
for.
specials that aired in my childhood.
Which one did you see?
The one with the sweater, the Cosby
Yes.
sweater.
It was a sweater vest. It was a sweater vest.
Yeah, let's not remember the content or even the name of
No,
it.
you just had the
Just
full-
that I
Enough with the kicking!
Stop with the kick.
No, I prefer enough. Rewrite.
Actually, Stop with the Kick, I had a suit on.
Ah.
My HBO special prior to that is when I was wearing the awful Cosby cardigan.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Is that in the Smithsonian next to Fonzie's jacket, by the way?
If only.
It's next to Archie Bunker's chair.
It's
actually laying on
in
Archie
the men's
Bunker's
on the
chair.
second floor. I'm an attorney, he continues, during the day, but love comedy and so much that I took a job working at a comedy club in Boston in order to be around it more. Did you? And to avoid losing my mind. If you have a second, I'd like to ask you a question. It's not about comedy. I'm just looking for an opinion because I need an honest answer from a performer. I think that might be too much of a build-up. Yes. Anyway, a performer who I've only met once or twice has offered me comp tickets for an upcoming show. I'm only reading this so that Sam can weigh in, and Jamie, as experts.
I can't remember a time you weren't reading this.
For an upcoming show, and has asked me, if I would like it to come see I would like a ticket to come see the show. The venue seats around 2,000. The show is about sold out. Ideally, I would like to ask for 3, but I have no idea what the etiquette is here. I feel I should ask for just 1 to be polite, but if I don't have 3, then my 2 friends probably won't be able to get tickets on their own. My fear is that if I ask for 3, I will seem rude and like I am taking advantage of his generosity. Also, I'm afraid that he will feel forced into saying yes, but secretly think that I'm out of line and will never offer me tickets again. So I want to say 1, but then I will probably end up having to go by myself. Boo. Do you have any thoughts on the proper etiquette for this situation? Now, my knee-jerk is, ask for the one that he's offered. Your friends are on their own. Don't overstay your welcome. Yes, he'll be exactly as you think, be forced into saying yes, and then never offer you tickets again. But I'd like you 2 to weigh in. Sammy?
I think he should stick his head in the oven.
Perfect. Jamie?
I think it's okay to ask for things in pairs.
Yeah,
I think it's okay to ask for
2 tickets.
Plus
2
1.
tickets is that's okay, but you can't push it.
Can't push for 3.
Sincerely, Brooke Elkin, Boston, Mass.
I've never heard of, I'll get you a ticket. You can't expect one person to sit by themselves in an audience.
No, you
It's
can ask
either,
for a pair.
Well, I'll get you
It's okay.
2 tickets. You can come to the show, bring a friend, bring a companion.
I may have buried the lead. I just saw up here. Has twice offered me comp tickets for an upcoming show and asked me how many I want.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
That's a whole different kettle of fish.
Yeah, this is a
It's-
How many you want? 3?
3.
You got to throw it out there. Yeah, that's the most important part. I
think we
left
should
it out.
discuss this for 15 more minutes.
Is he like in a Tilda Swinton type relationship where it's he's got like the boyfriend and the girlfriend's boyfriend, so it's always the 3 of us? Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah. Well, there you have
Tilda
it.
Swinton write us an email?
Yeah, she did. She did. And at the end, P.S. I am a woman.
Okay.
Thank goodness, because I've been so very concerned. Are you listening to us on the Earwolf Podcast Network? We're so very happy to be a part of their world and us, them. Jamie, do you have anything to add to the proceedings before we begin?
I just want to say an early happy birthday to you. 'Cause
Oh,
your
well, thank
birthday
you.
is on the 30th.
My birthday is Tuesday.
Can't wait.
I'll be in San Antonio, Texas.
But we had a lovely party for you
But
on
we had
Friday.
a little pumpkin carving. Yeah,
and
birthday.
it was a smashing success.
Yeah.
Many pumpkins carved.
Many indeed. I
I
have
think
a picture.
up to 20.
Maybe we should throw up a photo. I think someone in the other room got a photo of all those pumpkins lined up on the steps. Like 20.
It was quite a success, and everyone had an amazing time.
Yeah, it was. And the cake looked damn good.
Yeah.
Lynn Levine, did you have an enjoyable time at the...
I had a very nice time.
All right, that's enough from you. That's enough from you.
Use your outdoor voice in here.
Okay. We've had 7 Academy Award winners before today.
We've done the math. We've double-checked it.
Actually, I think it was only 5, but 2 of them have 2.
That counts.
James L. has 2.
Yep.
And Rob Legato has 2. But he only had 1 when we... See,
Oh, very
now
nice.
it's 1 more. Okay.
Very nice.
I was first introduced to today's guest, as many of you perhaps, as an actor. We'll discuss that as well as his writing career. Please welcome Jim Rash. Hello, sir.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Let's first talk about something that's newish in terms of diversifying one's performing portfolio, which I'm very excited for you. The Writers' Room.
Yeah.
Pretty spectacular.
Yes. Thank you. That's
So this was IFC's idea? Sundance Channel.
Sundance, yeah. Sundance Channel, and some producers that came up with the idea of the writer's room, of,
Right.
of visiting literally the staffs of popular shows
And then they just called me and said, "This feels like something that you would be interested in hosting." And I was like, "Yeah, absolutely." It was a blast.
So you go to the writers' room.
The first season they made a little fake writers' room set. You know, they've talked about going into the rooms, but also that becomes a scheduling thing because some shows aren't up and running and that kind of stuff. So so it made it easier to bring them to us.
And how many did you do?
We just did 6. Yeah, but I think we're doing a second season and do at least 6 more.
Right.
So it'll be fun.
That's pretty damn exciting. And
Yeah.
you did Breaking Bad. You
did Breaking Bad and Dexter and Game of Thrones and New Girl and Parks and Rec and I'm missing one.
Mork and Mindy.
And Mork and Mindy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one, it was weird for people, I think, you know, to be talking about Mork and Mindy.
How long ago did you shoot them?
When did we do that?
Dexter ending already been?
Yeah, it was right before Dexter was getting into their final season, was going to be airing. So this was probably, good Lord, pre-summer, I guess.
Sure.
Yeah.
And same with Breaking Bad, I'm guessing.
Yes. Yes, trying to get on those shows that were going toward their finales.
And did they talk about their finales?
Cryptically, you know. I think we, you know, and again, it was more about not so much spoiling show because I think a lot of people, there's such a wealth of stuff, information for fans of these shows. I really wanted to just talk about their process, and so with the ending, we just talked about what it felt like to have gone through that long journey and the emotions and how do you satisfy people or not satisfy people.
Were you a Breaking Bad fan?
Yes.
And so you've seen the ending.
Yes.
Spoiler alert for those of you who've not caught up yet.
Yeah, walk away.
How perfect was it for you? Because for me, it was absolute perfection.
I loved it.
From beginning to end.
I loved it from beginning to end. I thought it was very satisfying.
And nearly impossible to be satisfying.
Yes.
Because Vince succeeded in taking this mild-mannered chemistry teacher and turning him into Scarface, as was his plan.
Yes.
So Scarface has to die.
Yeah.
There's no way around it.
Yeah.
And yet, we care so much about him.
We care about him, and then obviously Aaron Paul, and sort of seeing his, you know, what his life could be, but you know, that sort of emotional drive away is like very telling of how much he was holding on to. It was just wonderful from beginning to end.
And the idea that, I was just thinking about it, Aaron Paul, Jesse's character was corrupting, in a way, Walter White's character in the first few episodes. And then
you mean of the first season or
the first season?
Yeah, yeah.
And then Walter White, of course, corrupts Jesse so far beyond what Jesse was even capable of that he completely and utterly ruins his life. So the idea that in the ending of the series, there was any redemption for either one of them, but you still want it. I mean, all of these things, how do you...
There's a weird way, I think that's amazing. A lot of shows right now, I think, are doing very well about taking these anti-heroes and making us understand them to a place where, not like sympathy for them, but we understand where they came from. We understood what where Walter started and what life had dealt him.
Right.
And then these choices, whether good or bad, it really was this person's journey from a decision he made to the decision costing him certain things.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's a great celebration of in-depth characters, of not just, these are just perfect people, you know, or the slight blemishes that we might accept on other television, you know.
How excited are you as a writer about the world of television before we start talking about movies? Because I know you guys are involved in a pilot. That we can talk about if you can.
Yeah. No, I mean, Nat and I started, my writing partner started in television. Like we had developed many years ago, like 2005, a pilot at ABC, and so we sort of did that journey and then moved into movies. But it's very exciting to me, like at least on the cable level, you know. And then now, even though I'm still obviously on Community and Nat did a pilot, so for a while there we were trying to write for ourselves and develop for ourselves, but then a couple friends of ours had this idea and we sort of became more of a shepherd of their idea. So it was nice because we didn't have to write it. We just had to give notes. And hopefully maybe we'll direct the pilot if it goes that far. But it was something for Fox. It's like called Fatrick. It's sort of like a guy. It's sort of talking about it's basically a dual sort of timeline of the guy in his 30s and the guy when he was young and overweight, and how it impacts his life and all the family. So you're sort of seeing it not as a flashback, but sort of two things at the same time. So it was interesting, hopefully.
Yeah. Well, that's just it. The excitement of, it used to be the network said, we want something new, we want something different, and in fact they didn't. They wanted the same thing. And now the broadcast cable outlets are thriving by doing different.
And telling stories in a shorter amount of episodes so that the writers can sort of see the beginning to the end, whether it's, House of Cards or something shorter on HBO, or it really does change, it changes storytelling in a good way, I think.
Yeah. Is everything all right? We just lost the monitor, but we're in fact still in
That's what
Kevin is still alive.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Sometimes my face does that to both cameras and equipment. It's just one of those things. No,
I just realized we had Alison Brie here as well, and Gillian,
night.
and Gillian Jacobs.
Yep.
You've almost completed.
And Dan Harmon.
Oh, you're really
yes,
almost
let's not
completing
forget
everything.
Dan Harmon.
Dan went after Jamie
Went
because
after
of
what
her
happened?
love of,
Disney theme parks.
yeah.
Did he go on a wonderfully worded tirade
Yeah.
Yes,
that
he
felt
said
like
that
you
I
became
clearly
not very...
was abandoned as a child, and that's why I need to go to Disneyland all the time.
But he said it without irony or really humor. He said it with a tinge of anger, which is
a
his way.
good Dan Harmon
Yeah.
sort of monologue is fantastic.
So everyone at Community must be thrilled that he, as well as
Chris McKenna.
Chris McKenna, are both coming back.
Yeah, back. And
We must be back in shooting.
We're back in shooting now. We're
thriving.
probably about midway through the 13 for this year, or season 5. And yeah, it's just one of those things. It's like any of those creators we were just talking about. It's like Vince Gilligan. It's like this was birthed out of his head, like Dan Harmon's head. And without him, you have, a decent replica of it, but you don't have Community,
Right.
And so as soon as you put that piece back, you're like, oh, I see now what exactly was missing.
Did you guys write an episode last year?
I did.
You did.
I wrote one episode last year, which was, obviously a huge honor, but, it's also sort of terrifying. The idea that Dan or anybody would just watch it and go,
Well, yeah. We wouldn't want you to be overly confident about anything you do.
No.
That would be ridiculous.
I never am, that's for sure.
Speaking of which, so let's go back a little. The awards season. Okay, so you've got the Descendants. I'm genuinely curious, but we'll get to that in a moment about the building of that and so on. But the award season is a bizarre world of pressure, bullshit, excitement.
Bullshit. I'm floored by that.
Well, but many levels and layers and genius, savant abilities of slinging particular bullshit, so that you get caught up in it, and they can convince you against all of your wisdom that you're absolutely going to get nominated.
Yes.
And then once that happens, I'm curious if they follow through. Are they able? First let's go in order.
Yeah.
When does the nomination, you're absolutely a lock for a nomination for writing, begin on Descendants? Does it begin before the film comes out? I mean...
I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, because we spent like over 2+ years working on the script before Alexander Payne even, decided to direct it, because he was working on his own project with his writing partner, Jim Taylor. So at this point, it was just Descendants, a script, and they were looking for directors and, that kind of stuff. And then the minute Alexander did, it became even more real, because it's obviously their property, it's his production company. And then when he reached out to Clooney, it became a completely different thing than it could have been, So
What's that phone call like, by the way? I'm just curious. We've got Clooney.
Yeah.
Because there are only a handful.
Well, I had notes, and I had issues, so it was one of those things where we got on the conference call, and I guess I got dropped. No, I'd like to talk about this Clooney you speak of.
Yeah. Yeah. Because there's ever only 2 or 3, maybe 5 at most, people who can garner that instant excitement or green light studio films throughout time. We think in terms of a dozen or more who can green light films, but boy, has that number shrunk over the years.
It has, especially in the fact that there are not as many movies being made, and the conundrum of everything's about marketing and what we're doing. You know, it's
Marketing.
Just marketing.
Driven. Completely.
Everything.
Yeah.
You know, from the title to the person at the top or the two people at the top of that thing.
Do you think in terms of when you're writing what those trailer moments are? Because that's been in the face of writers for the last 25 years.
It may be in the face, but if I was being honest about just sitting in the summer and writing with Nat, like the way back, there's nothing in there that would make me go, what a trailer, you know, in my head, whoa.
There's a trailer moment.
Boy, this is like a visceral trailer moment in my head that I cannot get out.
Right.
You know?
Right.
It was just a story. And, you know, it is tough. And I applaud why TV is doing so well, you know, and it's because it is really not just not just tarnishing the characters and complicating the story, but really just not afraid to throw some people at us that we have to sort of decide whether we can morally appreciate them.
Yeah.
And it's not that we don't get great movies. I mean, obviously we do. I think this is going to be seems like a great fall already, and some really amazing movies and stuff. But at that core, you have to get past two hurdles. How do we market this, and who's going to be in it? Which is like, well, can't tell you that because I don't know. I know we need somebody. You know, it's like making a small independent movie. I mean, making Way Back took 8 years, and that was really just this up and down of people saying, well, we need a name. I know. But they won't do it unless you have some money to prove this is not something, I'm just going to put my name on it, it never happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So get money or get the star? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the plan.
Wouldn't it be great if there were an actual path to follow?
Yes. Yes. If there was a dummies book.
Yeah.
You know, save the cat, help.
Yeah.
How do you get this movie made? But anyways, I think I moved away from what you were saying.
No, it's quite all right. So the phone call for Clooney comes in. You're off and away. Alexander Payne himself changes everything. That's the sort of golden ticket to begin with from having a script. I mean, was there a moment when you guys thought about directing that one?
The Descendants?
Yeah.
No, not that point, because we really were, you know, the way back as a script is what got us in the door to meet about the Descendants. So we really were, you know, we had nothing proven, you know, as far as a movie or anything. So really we were along for the ride, and an adaptation, which we had never done before.
Of course.
So at this point, I don't know. That's more like, you know, once as a writer, certainly for hire at that point, you're sort of out of the loop when it comes to what they were doing. I don't know what other directors might have been right before Alexander decided to do it. I just know that call from his producing partner, Jim Burke, was saying, like, you know, and he's got a really deep voice, he's like, we've got Clooney. That's not a great invitation because no one's going to care because they don't know who I'm talking about.
But does Alexander Payne say yes because he's read your guy's script? Or he says yes to the concept?
Well, they already loved, you know, they brought us in, they loved the book, they wanted to produce this.
They being?
Alexander and Jim Burke and Jim Taylor, who had optioned the book. And so they hired us, and we did that. And so I don't think he was planning to direct it, but then when his movie, which was going to be a larger budget, needed to sort of shelve that for now, he decided, I really want to direct, because he hadn't done anything since Sideways. I don't know how many years the gap was.
Forever.
It was significant. So I think he really just wanted to direct. And so then we met with him, and he read all of our sort of material, and he reread the book, and then we chatted about, talking about, why'd you do this? What about this scene? What made you think that? And we were like, well, we had it, and then we lost it. So in other words, had a talk, because our job was sort of done, and then he went off and took his pass, and that's why the three of us sort of are on the...
Share the trophy.
Share the trophy.
Yeah. So they tell you you're going to get nominated after the movie comes out. You get the nomination. Exciting beyond belief.
Yeah.
But had the machine gotten inside your guy's head, even with all the doubt that's in there?
Yes.
That thrives on a daily basis.
As far as like the ride that you take.
Yeah.
Which it is like a race.
You can't shut them up is the problem.
Who?
The people who tell you you're going to get nominated.
Oh, no, yes.
You can't shut them up. You
It's
can't
buzz.
make them go away.
And they believe this buzz.
Which is good for the release of the film. It's all good to keep talking. I remember my agent at the time sent me, or said, have you seen the trades today? There's for your consideration, for A Few Good Men. And I went, why did they just waste $1,500? If there's a nomination to be had, it's Nicholson.
Yeah.
Or next Kevin Bacon?
Yeah.
I mean, we're not going to get to me. Why?
Yeah.
And they said, you know what? Just enjoy it, Kevin. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So that was easy for me to just frame it and
Yes.
leave it alone.
Yeah.
But with you guys and the steam of the film with Alexander and George, how do you not get caught up in? I mean, do you and Nat, even in your private moments, allow yourselves to look at each other and go, "We might get nominated"? That's healthy.
It seems healthy. You're putting it out to the universe.
Just between
I'm
the
not
two
being
of you in a
cocky
private
about
moment.
it. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
it would
just
be nice.
between the two of you, because everyone's
Yeah.
in your face.
I think I guess I personally try to stay on that level ground because I just don't know, because it was an up and down ride. It's like, we didn't win like Golden Globe, that type of thing, and they thought this could be it, and it went to Woody Allen, I think, that year. And so then you get that sort of doubt, Independent Spirit Award, Writers Guild, all that's good.
Writers
but when you
Guild,
get to the big one,
huge,
yes,
by the way.
exactly. So that, I think Writers Guild certainly helped you think, oh, okay, this could be, could happen, and but you just, I think there was a lot of good stuff, I think it was Tinker Tailor, right? Am I saying it right? Right, Spy. There was so many good possibilities that all had emotional stories as well, because that's another whole thing about talking about the life of the movie, how it came to be, and that's part of the campaign. So I guess we just tried to stay down here.
All right, so you're sitting in the seat.
Yeah.
You're at the Kodak. Was it the Kodak?
Right. Yes.
Formerly.
Dolby.
Or Nokia. Well,
Yeah.
somebody's.
Yeah.
You're sitting in your
Some
seat.
company, something.
And the winner is,
Yeah.
and they say your guys' names. Alan Arkin sat here and said, who had such a great acceptance speech planned that he'd been telling people for 20 years, that his brain went to mush and he could barely concentrate on walking.
Yeah.
Is that what was
It
your
is. It
experience?
is a little out of body, because you sort of hear it and you feel like that sort of the color goes out of you, like you just sort of get flush, because there's the idea that you're going to actually walk up on this stage and not just get the support, but look out at all these people, so I don't. And I think also because you haven't prepared yourself, but it is out of body, and you just sort of forget about it until afterwards, and people saying like this, and I guess it all happened.
Yeah. So in that moment of surreal brainwaves, you think it was, I have a theory that it was, but do you think it was the protective layer that went to your comedic side to go for the Angelina move? Because that's comforting for the comedic side of your brain to say, you need to calm down. Do this.
You think I need to be accepted.
you just won an Academy Award, and you're thinking,
all you do is like that selfish side of you is like, I just don't want people to go like, oh, he didn't say anything. What a boring guy. Because here's the two things that were many things going through my head. But pre this, when they're giving you the rundown, they give you a whole speech about how to give a speech in preparation for possibility of going up there.
And do the three of you decide Alexander's going to do all the talking?
Well, Alexander had asked, in other words, they asked if you have multiple winners to not all speak, which everyone violates and just starts screaming and yelling in the mic, and the thing plays.
Carly, Jefferson, go to sleep.
That's supposed to be credits. They would never roll credits over every award.
But you do have the conductor just doing this.
Yeah, that's my way of just showing that the show is over. Yeah, or a TV where it just gets bigger and smaller in front of you.
So does he say, guys, if we win,
he said if we went, Nat and I went first, I think it was Independent Spirit Awards, and he was saying, why don't you guys take the lead? I really want to say something about my mom, which he hadn't spoken to her at the Sideways, I think was when he was up there, and he wanted to take the lead. And knowing that we might not speak, then your brain goes to, well, I might never be here again, and I'll have said nothing. So then your brain goes to, how can I show what I'm feeling? And then my brain goes to, well, she sort of landed that dress and landed her moment, and I thought, well, I'll just land this, and then sort of took her stance.
Yeah.
And I was so happy that he got out everything he wanted to say, because I wasn't, if for some reason the band started playing, and no one had said anything, or like he got nothing out, I would have felt like, oh man.
Yeah.
I was just going to kill me. But he was fine. He got everything.
Do the Jack Palance one-arm push-up if Angelina hadn't done the leg thing, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I had like a
whole series.
You start scrolling. You start scrolling to all your best bits.
Famous Oscar moments. Which one should I?
I thought about doing a scene from Flowers for Algernon.
Sure.
I thought about doing Charlie's father. What about Charlie Rose? What about Charlie? Which makes it weird. You're saying Charlie Rose, but I think that was the line. But Rose, what about Charlie?
Yeah.
What a subliminal thing.
Performance so much stronger
And you are
now.
welcome. I have an accent class.
By the way, thank you, because your performance is so much more full now in that role than it was when you were in high school.
Yeah, oh no, it had to be, because
Your nuts dropped. If we would.
I want to cast Jim as Charlie's father. This is back in high school, but I don't think his nuts have dropped. Can someone ask him and not be weird about it?
Can we get one of the bigger girls to do it?
Yeah, I don't know. You know what we can do? We can do that whole thing. We'll dub it
You guys really
live.
We'll dub it live.
Live. Jim, just open your mouth and say it. We've got this deep voice person.
You guys really did go on an award tour to other countries.
They did. Not Nat and I. You mean as far as?
Really? Because the screenplay was nominated in other countries for BAFTAs and things, no?
We went to we did go to that one. I'm sorry.
London, England?
Sorry, we did go to London.
Yeah.
Yes. The plural probably threw me, but we did go to London to the BAFTAs. Yes.
Right. And I was
which
also just thinking Canada.
We didn't make. We just Well, we didn't make it there, so the plural of those two is down to one.
Right.
Other than here, but yeah, we did go to the BAFTAs.
And that was
A completely different experience. This being their Oscar ceremony. And it runs fast.
Does it?
That's the one difference I saw. It was just sort of a show. Award, comedy, award. They
didn't do 17 memoriams?
No, they got it going, and it was lightning fast.
A lesson to be learned, perhaps?
Maybe. I mean, it was. I think yes, I like that idea. I like the idea. I guess to me, if I were producing it, which I won't, they don't want me to, and I'm not saying anything that's crazy, but it's like I'd rather hear these. I know they want to like shorten the speeches, but now they're to a point where it almost seems offensive to the person, and it's very clear when the best actors and actresses in certain things are getting more time than the smaller amount of time because they're not interested in those particular awards.
Right.
But I would argue, like, well, maybe we could cut one of these
Do you know what the
tributes.
actual-
Because it seemed like one year they said, let's do a tribute to this and this.
Right.
Why? Because the Bond thing gives us this, but we need... I don't know, the Bond thing's not going as far as I wanted it to. Let's do another one.
Right?
A tribute to...
We were just talking
new choice it.
with Rob Reiner, because he mentioned that he did the Maureen Stapleton tribute at the Emmys, and how it was absurd that they did 17 tributes
yes.
without clips, just the people going up and saying something.
Yeah.
And then it becomes clear, well, we want to get Michael J. Fox to talk about Gary David Goldberg.
Yeah.
And we want to get so we want to get the people on camera talking. So it's an attraction. So
Yes.
it's a name, it's a star fucking thing. And
But yeah, why wasn't there wonderful clips to back up all of this?
or if I may,
this
maybe
stuff?
we don't do a Gary David Goldberg tribute.
Or-
Fantastic
or-
talent.
yes, but-
and a lovely man, and his family should celebrate his life. Maybe television doesn't need it.
Yeah, I just think either commit to what you're going to do, and it's all very similar in the
Yeah.
sense that we're showing clips.
Were
and we're
people
showing-
watching the pictures that come up in memoriam or memorandum or
Yeah, in
however it is?
memoriam,
People watch that thinking, why aren't they breaking this into segments?
I think.
Oh,
Was there an outcry? Why don't we spend more time on the people
I think
who
what we're
passed?
discussing here is the main issue, which is they still don't know how to correctly do an award show because it's always so different year to year.
Yeah.
They're always, well, we'll try these producers. They didn't work. Let's try these producers. There's no formula that's ever going to please everyone.
No, that's
and
true.
so that's the issue. I mean, at the Creative Arts Emmys this year, it was like you have 45 seconds from the minute they say and the winner is to the music.
Wow.
And I saw a video of it. There's women in the back of the room in high heels. They said, and the winner is this show. And there's women, they heels off in the hand, darting down, dress in hand.
It starts from the announcement.
From the announcement of you're the winner, running down. I want to thank this guy, that, bum, 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 and then they're off with 9
Is there an
seconds
exact
to
time
thank
that
people.
they tell you that you have?
They don't. It's as I recall, it was a large monitor that you can see, obviously, and it's a triangle that gets smaller. So, in other words, they're saying we're not going to tell you how many seconds this is. It's just a fun shape getting smaller.
That's terrible. That's just awful.
The triangle's getting so small. We must have no time. That's what I remember. Something weird.
Give 2 minutes to every winner. Give them 2 minutes.
Yes.
And if they got less to say, they'll say less and move on.
Yes.
Yeah,
2
like
minutes.
the girl from Nurse Jackie. How
She
great
didn't
was
even take
that?
it. Maybe her time transfers. She didn't choose to take any of it.
She took 0 time. She went,
says-
thanks, I gotta go.
Gotta go.
That's it.
Yeah.
Merit, what's it? Merit something?
That's right.
That's
it
it.
is merit something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone's something. I mean, we know that for sure.
Right.
Everyone's a blank something. Or
Here's
something.
Here's some fun for you.
Okay.
For Jim Rash fans. Many years ago, after teaching at Groundlings Theater one night, you enter your apartment to find one of the scariest things you've ever witnessed. 17 pages on the fax
Oh my
machine
God.
of dialogue for your formerly one-line part
Yeah.
in the movie Minority Report,
Yes.
on the eve of your performance in Steven Spielberg's movie.
Yes. Oh my God.
Arguably
The fact
one of the
that you know
scariest
that, yes.
visuals you've ever seen.
Horrible. It really was. I knew that I was working the next day, but it seemed I got this.
You were
know?
line.
It was a reshoots. They were doing more not reshoots. Sorry, he added
Right.
these scenes to build tension, and so there were like 7 of us who were like police dispatchers in the future.
Sure.
I was one of them, and I had like a line. We all had like 1 or 2. I get home, and there really is, a fax machine. Luckily, I did have not the scrolling kind. It was paper. But it was 17 new pages of just tons of technical speak. Just tons of just sort of like, precinct 5, 1, 2, target all, merry-go-rounds.
Arguably the easiest type of dialogue, not only to write, but to memorize.
To memorize, because it's just littered with fun things to play. So I had this bad idea. I'm gonna stay up. I gotta stay up all night. I gotta be there early. I gotta learn this. So
You're not going to be able to sleep. It
It
wasn't
didn't
a
make me sleep.
horrible idea.
No, yes.
How are you going to get to sleep knowing that pressure's waiting for you in the morning?
Exactly.
I'm going to say cut yourself a little break here. There's no way to sleep.
No, and there wasn't, and so I stayed up
Right.
and thought I got as much as I could. Arrived there, met up with the rest of our police dispatchers, and we started running it because we all obviously got the pages, not just me. And I was Edward, and Edward just had these giant monologues, horrible monologues of what and Steven Spielberg, I remember, rides up on a golf cart, because we all do. Everyone rides up on golf carts with someone. He says, you guys, I'm going to get to you about the end of the day. So really run it. So I want that sort of dripping off your tongues. I don't know if he said dripping off the tongues. Hopefully that wasn't his expression, but that idea.
Rapid.
And so, of course, then your anxiety goes much higher because you have a timeline. So we just started running it. And then the writer of the script came over and he says, are you guys cool? You understand what we're doing? I said, yeah, we're running it. Then he looked at me and says, do you know what you're doing? As if maybe they had a camera on me, and it was like, this guy's got, this guy, that, I don't know, the bald one doesn't know what he's doing. And they were like, you are logging all of the information into the computers, because this is all like handsets, moving stuff. So
It's the future.
In other words, it's the future, which we know it's right near us. So they're like, as they speak, you start talking like Rain Man as they start. So as they talk, you're logging that in. So I really was just saying the same thing they were, but in more technical speak. So that threw off them and us because we had learned the cues, like at least that much.
Oh, God.
So literally they would start talking, I go, target on a lower register, like 5, 4, 1, 2, target all merry-go-rounds. I keep saying merry-go-rounds because I remember merry-go-rounds was something important. And I'm not just making that up. But so then we get in there. It is hot. It's in the set. You have these futuristic wool outfits. You have these little microphones that come around and sort of are stuck to your face. We do the first one. It's like a steady cam. It's just going to move from me to them to da-da-da-da-da. So it starts on me. I know the first part. I say it. As it sort of drifts away from me, I don't know anymore.
Bring out your stuff.
That would be take 2. Take 1, my brain did not tell me that. It just told me. So sweat starts. I'm a flop sweater. As soon as my brain says it's time to sweat, there's nothing that's going. It's just going. It's off. So now I start sweating. This thing won't stay on my face. I keep pushing it. First take done, and it felt really good. So we're inside this glass room, and everyone, let's do it again. Let's take it back to the top. And I hear this knocking on the glass, and I look over, and it's a script coordinator, and she's like, "Say your lines. You need to say your lines."
Even though you're off camera.
Well, by that point, yes, but Spielberg is looking at the monitor, and he doesn't even look over at me, and just me or anybody at that point, and just says, "Yeah, let's say our lines." So now I'm just like, oh, I'm gonna crash and burn. So the next take, I did what you suggested. I pulled it out, and I just started reading it off camera. So that's how I got through that sort of first little chunk.
More water, sir?
Oh, yes, thank you.
Sure.
You probably saw how nervous I'm having a reflux.
Just this
I wanna get some of
reliving
that
it.
sweat.
It's
Yeah,
awful.
let's get more of it. So he's like, all right, let's, so he looked into this packet of technical scenes and
Sure.
said, let's do number 5. So you're flipping through, figuring out what number 5 is. Because again, it's just like, this is going to be building tension. I don't know what's in, I don't think any of it's in the movie, but, so we go to 5. Now 5, he says, let's do this scene, and then Edward, which is me, I think he said my name, but Jim, let's do everything, and then we'll get yours in a single. So then I'm like palpitations. I'm like trying to memorize it as fast as I can because it's just there's no way to learn all this stuff.
No.
There was no way, and the fact that he just willy-nilly said number 5.
And I also want to remind people, you've now been awake for what sounds like 30 hours.
Yes. No, I was.
So there's no way you're like, oh, mentally sharp, and you know what, I got this,
Yes.
Stephen.
Yeah, Stephen.
Yeah, no, you're exhausted.
You want me to do 3? You want me to just reset myself and do 3? So they do a little bit of that. They turn the camera on me. It's not a huge chunk, but it's enough. It must have been, in my mind it's more, but probably 6 takes of trying to just do that one line and panicking and kept pushing this microphone back on to me. And the worst thing about when you have flop set, is when the makeup artist, God bless them, comes over to you and touches you, I start sweating more because they say, whew, you are sweating. Don't say it out loud. You've literally wished the demon to come.
Yeah.
So
You've welcomed
here's
it.
the great thing. Spielberg, I don't know if this is always, I can only say because this is my only experience with him, pretty much wraps up at 7. Like he's a family man. I'm going home, we got it, see you in the morning. So we hit the time. So we didn't have to do any more, but we had to work the next day. I went home, I got a good night's sleep, and it was amazing. You wake up, and my brain knew all of it. It was as if all that time, your brain just needed to calm down.
Yeah.
And so the next day was much more pleasant. We shot the scenes, and I felt like it was just a vindication for me that I didn't feel like I was a complete disaster. But that day, I thought it's unusable. They won't use it, which they didn't. But that bald guy, we got to lose him. That's all I can
Everyone
say in
else
my
is
head.
fine.
Everyone else I love. I almost, you can hear Spielberg say, I want everyone to dinner but the bald one.
That's actually on the soundtrack of the movie. You can hear it in the dialogue.
Yes.
He just threw it.
I've hoped to one day actually physically get to meet him again so I can not tell that whole story by any means, but at least express to him my...
How long did you know Sam Rockwell before you saw him dance?
Oh. Well, you mean before he was in Way, Way Back? I didn't know him at all. We just took
No, I mean literally see him dance.
When did first time I saw him dance?
Yeah.
Well, I can't say the first one. The first one that comes to mind, I remember in Charlie's Angels. I remember him dancing when they sort of have the reveal that he's not
Crazy.
the nebbish guy, but crazy. I don't know, what other movies? I mean,
In person, I'm talking about.
Oh, in person. I'm sorry. He danced pretty quick.
Yeah.
He let us know because we have a breakdancing scene. He says, just so you know, I dance, and maybe I can dance in it. And certainly at that point, I didn't want to say no. I said, well, we definitely will, you know. And we did. We have obviously a dance circle. What movie doesn't have a dance circle? And he cut it.
Yeah.
He cuts that rug.
Loves to dance.
He loves to dance.
We went to the Josh and now Sophie Charles wedding reception that Sam was at till the wee hours with the dancing. It was, well, it's just inspiring
No.
because
His dancing.
I don't know. I think Michael Showalter gave him a little run for his money. They had a little bit of a dance off.
yeah, they had
at
a
one
dance
point.
off, but Showalter gets
It was like a
into-
marionette.
Yeah. Sam's got well, the word smoothness would not be attached to Showalter's dancing. But it could be the only
Right now
word
he's
you
like,
use.
how dare you?
How dare you, son of a bitch. In my mind, I am a smooth criminal. And you sit there and you... Yeah, Rockwell's dancing is something else.
Yeah, it is.
So let's go with... You say the Way, Way Back was a writing sample that got you hired to Descendants. So that already tells us that it's been around for a while.
It has been around, yes.
And during that time, it's kind of set up and falls apart a handful of times.
Handful of times.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I don't think is abnormal for any probably independent movie, but it really was an up and down journey from the very beginning.
Right.
It was out of the gates going to be made, you know, when it first got out there, I guess. Sean Levy was going to direct it, and then it fell apart because Night Museum 2 was scheduled to start, and he couldn't do it, couldn't fit it in the window he had hoped. Then it sort of laid a little dormant, and then numerous directors along the way, you know, had entertained doing it, switched to a studio. And then we got to a point where we just said, a studio, I think we were at Mandate, and I think Mandate started working with Lionsgate. Lionsgate was sort of like, you can make it with this actor or this actor. And you're like, oh, they're great, but that's not the vision of it, you know, and it felt like a marketing thing. It felt like the right person to make this work.
That's after you guys collect the Golden Boys?
No, this would be pre that. This would be pre. This is along that whole journey.
Right.
Because we were, you know, dealing with the Descendants for a good 2 years, 2.5, before anything sort of started to happen. So then we got to that point where they were like, we won't make it without, you know, those two people. That's options. And so Nat and I just said, you know what? Let's just not make it. You know, let's because there was no passion in someone making that statement.
Right.
There was no passion for this story. There was no passion for the movie. So I said, let's just not do it. And by doing that, you accepted another 3 years of doing nothing, because until that script is 5-year, whatever that 5-year gestation where they can say, now it's yours again,
Right.
with a little money against it, we had to wait at least 2.5, let's say, a little bit more.
Brutal.
And so we just said, that's it. So anything could happen. So then I would say the Descendants and all that sort of led us back to the fact that they were like, what do you want to do after that? You know, take on some other writing sample. And I said, no, we want to do the Way, Way Back. And people were like, oh, all right, well, you know, it's like
See in
that
a couple
thing.
years when the heat's gone.
You know, it's TV's bad at it too. It's like, oh, that's damaged goods.
Yeah.
No, thank you. Oh, it's brilliant. Oh, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh my God, why was that not made? Or that pilot, I love that pilot. Why isn't we don't want it? What else you got? And so it really was that thing where it would die on the vine if we didn't just get persistent. So we just went more grassroots, and we just sort of, a friend of ours became a producer, and we just sort of said, let's just do it. Let's just write letters. Let's just do it and stop listening to people.
Really?
And that's what happened.
Keep that in mind.
Yeah.
So your producer friend helps to coordinate the raising of funds, or
Yeah, Kevin, our friend Kevin Walsh, and he just is a writer himself, but had sort of worked with all types. You know, he worked under Rudin for a while, worked with Spielberg, in fact, but he just sort of had that thing. He's just that guy that's a perfect producer, and we just started looking out for financing, and we found just enough money. Well, we sort of approached Allison Janney because we know her, we've known her for years, and we sort of wrote with her in mind with Betty. And so we had Allison Janney, and then I think Sam might have come to this table second. And those two helped to sort of start two things for us. One, they're both actors that attract actors who just want to work with them. It's not a money thing, it's nothing. They're just immense talents who, you know, are highly underrated in that sense. You know, but then you go into the foreign world. How much money does this person bring? Foreign money, you know, that kind of stuff. So then we just started putting things together. Tony Collette and all these things, and really it was Steve Carell finally signing on that really probably just made it a thing.
Was that a short journey to Carell? Or a long journey?
No, you know, in the scheme of how long it had taken us, this was the best journey. You know, it was a long journey in the beginning because we started waiting for months for just one answer, and then we're like, we just have to stop this. I can't keep chasing these huge pie-in-the-sky ideas. Let's just get the cast we want. And so we already knew the people we wanted, so let's start there, you know? And then we said, let's go against type, and Steve Carell came to mind. And what happened with Steve was he read the script. It was a pretty fast read, and he wrote us a very nice note and said, I love it, I would love to do it, but summer is my time with my family. I go to the same place every year, and I can't do it. So one more time you say, okay, do we take the no and just move on, or is there a little window in the way he's talking that might help us? So we wrote back and said, what if we shoot Where You Vacation? Literally, in the South Shore of Boston. And talked to him about the character stuff he wanted to talk about. And then he wrote back and said, all right, let's do it. So we shot in his, he couldn't physically walk to work, but pretty much as close as you could get.
To where he was vacationing with his family.
Mm-hmm. And so his family was there, and so he would go home to them every night. And, he shot like 10 days, so it wasn't like his whole vacation.
Of course.
So, but it was great. That's how it happened.
It was pretty spectacular, along with a tremendous amount of focus and determination, and the ability to walk away when it counted and when it was important.
Yeah.
So that, for an outsider who doesn't know all of that, it's an insight that I think is important for your fans or anyone watching or listening. But also, the end result is empowering you and your writing partner to now be filmmakers.
Yeah.
So all of that struggle and all of that waiting and all of those smaller decisions to walk away, they're questioned along the way by representation, agents and managers, even within your own insecurity, and then looking at the end result, which is, you guys kind of had such a great outcome with the Descendants, and your fans are, well, what are they going to do next? Mm-hmm. And so when this film, that not knowing that you've been living with it for 8 years, and what you had gone through, that just looks like your next choice.
Yes, it does.
It looks spectacular.
Like, oh, you're like, wow, you really lit this place on fire. I think it's everyone's story is like, no. I got here in 1994 or 5. Everyone has that story of like, it's like it's not an overnight thing.
Right.
I don't know who is the overnight thing.
Right. No. No one.
But. And it was a whole nother beast because people said, oh, that's a natural thing from Descendants. I said, no, we're writers and now we're going to try to direct for the first time. So we're doing a whole new thing. Yeah. And we're taking the script that we've lived with for years, yes, but we're going to do a whole nother terrifying idea.
Yeah. Now, not a lot of your fans, I don't think know.
Oh, I thought that's like a cue. They're gonna go. Now, a lot of your fans don't. Like you're gonna read. Here's what the fans are saying, and they do not agree with you.
Do not agree.
It feels like this is where
I know. I don't know that they know that Liam James, who played Duncan, was cast in some ways to play a younger version of yourself.
Yeah.
Or that your then stepdad was the one who said, on a scale of 1 to 10, how do you see yourself? No, I see you as a 3.
Yes.
Dear God.
Yeah.
What a lovely, lovely experience.
I survived. Yes, that first scene of the movie is the only real autobiographical moment. Everything else sort of builds off of that. But that first scene with Steve Carell and Liam James in the car is an exact, at least from my recollection, an exact replica of what happened to me when I was 14 in a station wagon, going to our summer vacation.
In the way, way back.
In the way, way back. And having my stepfather at the time ask me what I thought I was on a scale from 1 to 10. And I said 6. And he says, I think you're a 3. And let me explain why. And he went on to say what Carell says, which is, there's all these opportunities. We come here every year, and you don't seem to be very outgoing. You sort of stick around the beach house. This is a lake house where we were going, but you stick around the lake house, and there's all these kids to meet and all this stuff. And what's weird about it, because a lot of people, when we would go and talk about the movie, they're horrified, especially mothers are like, oh my God, how dare, that woman stay with him. But, obviously we made a little more demon with our version in the movie, because he was generally a good guy, and he had kids of his own. I had step-siblings. I think in his mind, this is something his dad probably said, and this is really great advice, to be outgoing, find, adventurous, and he's talking to someone who's a different type of person. He doesn't know that a 14-year-old, all I hear is 3, and then that's my brain playing it. But just like in the movie, something got buried in there, and I probably did go out, mainly probably because I always wanted to be not in the same room as him, and feel that sort of pressure, which is what Liam's character's doing, Duncan, and end up having the summer of, certainly in the movie, of his life. All because, weirdly, he followed what this man said, that anyone would go like, what a horrible thing. Yeah. And so when people ask us that, they go, how could you survive that? And I said, well, I feel like that's what we do on a daily basis. We run into people constantly and live in a world where a person might be in our lives for a brief amount of time, whether it's a stepfather, it's a friend, it's an uncle, it's a stranger, who affects our lives in a way that we don't see the impact of until later. But they're like, wow, I'm so glad I had that moment, because it made me who I was,
Yeah,
and I think people forget that even negative ones are, when you look back, you're like, oh, that had to happen. Yeah. That had to happen to me.
Yeah. Yeah, if you take out the "you're a 3" from the rest of what he had to say, it's not a devastating conversation to have with a young.
No, you can just skip to. My opinion is there's lots of things out there. Get out there.
Make it a good summer.
Yeah.
Jim?
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of the domicile.
Yeah.
First of all, otherwise known as the lake house.
And that's what we all called it affectionately. Yeah. Every house has its name. That was the name of ours. Some people call it like the Sand Dollar, but ours was...
No. Yours was the domicile. Was this near the Charlotte, North Carolina, where you was raised?
I was raised in Charlotte, North Carolina. This was actually, we would spend our summers on Lake Charlevoix in Michigan, which is where my stepfather's family was from. So we went at least 3 years, as I remember, but certainly spent my summers in North Carolina beaches as well. But that was...
Was the Sam Rockwell character based on anyone in particular?
Just a sort of fictional idea of what could be good for Duncan in the story.
Right.
I think anti-hero, and obviously there's sort of a nod when I think of like Bill Murray and Meatballs. And no, not based on anybody.
Yeah.
But really just something. It was just a device to show this other guy who is not perfect by any means. He's still working at this water park or managing it, and has issues of his own. But he says the same message as Steve Carell's Trent character says, and says in a completely different way, because the point...
If I may, in a loving, charming way.
In a charming way. It's nurture. So he says, get in here, put that T-shirt on, and sends him off to face off with his breakdancing issue, and just says, you're official now. So it's support. It's the same message.
Right.
Don't be afraid, just go do it.
Let's make something this summer.
Yeah.
And the Meatballs comparison analogy is kind of perfect. And in fact, that was my comment to Sam, which was, it's so rare that an actor gets to play that rhythm.
Yeah.
and how much fun it is to do, how much fun it is to write, how much fun it is to direct, and how much fun it is to watch.
Yeah.
And I felt like the great casting of Maya was also a little in keeping with the Meatballs casting, because opposite of Bill Murray was an actress who was just such great heart and soul, but not necessarily a head spinner.
Yeah.
You know, thereby that much more real and genuine.
Well, yeah. And Maya's a friend that we've had since going through the Groundlings, so it was sort of a no-brainer, A, to have her, but also to have the talent. But you're absolutely right. We wanted the...
If that girl is just pretty,
Yes.
it weakens and undermines him and his... Because he's on the fence when we first meet this character.
Yeah.
As to just how shallow he might be.
Yeah.
And the smart girl
of
Caitlin, his soulmate, becomes a way that I now care more about him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It is a window into a person who is frustrated by him, but is not left because of him.
Right.
And is mad at probably herself because she hasn't, and she says so much, is the regret of being here this long, but with the promise of what she feels like they're supposed to be. And I think it's also about, like, really, you know, we wanted to make sure that the water park lived in the same world as the beach house. So it really was about sort of a middle-class feel, you know, about people who save up money and go to their 2-week vacation and really have their vacation. You know, people are like, oh, they're all, you know, drinking. I go, but looking back, that's what our parents were doing, and now I understand. Because, you know, it's a release.
Sure.
It's like, you know, anyway, so we wanted those two to not totally feel weird, so it was important to us to have.
Before casting, of course, is the writing. What is your and Nat's process like? Is one of you seated in front of a information data gathering device and the other one is pacing? Do you take turns doing this?
Usually I'm in front of the data taking device, and he's either pacing or laying on a couch, comfortable.
I can speak for Nat. He's a lazy son of a bitch.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. I'm glad that you said it, because I can't know those words.
Horizontal rather than...
It's true.
Yeah.
Can I tell you a quick true story about Nat Faxon?
Yeah.
Please.
He and I shot a movie in Mexico in 2002.
Yeah.
And we
He
shot
was out cold for most of it?
Yep.
He might as well.
And we shot at this beautiful beach resort in Mexico, which had glorious sandy beaches and water. And the water, it's so warm down there that people would go out for a swim in the ocean into the dusk hours, into the nighttime. And so one night, I was the last of the group to realize, oh, hey, everyone's out swimming about 20, 30 feet out in the water there. It looks great. And so I thought, I'll go out and join them. So I'm in my bathing suit, and I start walking out, and I don't know what it was, but I must have picked the very wrong part of the beach to start wading to, because the part that I picked, the bottom of the water just dropped out. And now I'm wading in the water way too far away from the shore. I thought it looked like everyone was just standing, and I picked the wrong spot. And so I'm treading water, and I'm in bad shape. I'm not doing great, and I see Nat is swimming back towards me, and I'm like, I'm gonna drown. I'm screaming, Nat, give me a hand, bro. And he's like, what? What's that? He could 100% see me, hear me. He was like, but in the back of his mind, he's like, yeah, I know, you're feet away. I think he either thought I was messing with him, or he thought he'll be fine. He didn't come anywhere near me.
Yeah.
That Faxon was going to let me die.
It's weird. I've had this similar. This must be his thing.
I think it is.
Because I once got caught in a riptide, not being a strong. I guess I feel I'm a good strong swimmer, but he surfs all the time, so he's very familiar with what to do. I had heard of what to do when you get caught in one of those things. So I'm fighting like hell to get back in, and lucked out, and I'm sort of coming up there, and he's just laughing because he's standing there with the lifeguard, neither of which have sort of come to my rescue. I'm pale as I am right now, maybe more so. And all I hear is the lifeguard goes, "Your friend's not from around here, is he?"
That's helpful.
Yeah.
That's incredibly helpful.
Yep. Yeah. Thank you.
I'm glad we could
But I
cooperate.
made it. Thank you.
While you're physically struggling, I'd like you to emotionally struggle as well.
Yes. It's basically like you got called a nerd. That's it.
Yeah.
A nerd.
Yeah, good luck not drowning, nerd.
A good near-death
Nerds don't
experience.
deserve the ocean. Nerd.
Yeah.
Riptides are for cool people.
Yeah.
Your people didn't crawl out of the ocean like we did.
I love that was like on the 9th day, the nerds got caught in a riptide and were taken away.
We'll never make it.
Just making references the entire time.
Yes. Yeah, just pop culture before anything had happened.
Right. Let's see what the interwebs are bringing us in terms of questions coming from your fans, sir.
Okay.
We invite them in sometimes to ask a direct question, or in this case, a series of 5 rapid-fire questions
Okay.
that are designed specifically for you in
Okay.
a Coke or Pepsi, no correct answer, sort of opinionated
Great.
way. And we call them a Tweet 5 Q Dave Techner.
T5.
Or not.
I can hear.
Oh, we just,
We can only hear it from out there.
oh, okay.
Nice.
I don't know why it wouldn't sound.
He was singing T5.
Teeth.
Nerd Fox 108, you want to give a shout out? to
Yeah,
this guy?
because I follow I also follow him. He's a big fan of the show, and we're
Instagram?
Instagram buddies. And he lives in Orlando. I believe he lives in Orlando, and he's a giant Disney theme park nerd as well.
Nice.
So I want to get, and he's a big fan of the show. Like he found me on
So a
Instagram.
complete
'cause
counterbalance to Dan Harmon.
yes, but he's
Yeah.
a cool dude, and his last name's Fox, like me.
Make sure I get an invite to the wedding. Comic-Con or water parks?
Oh, that's tough. I'm gonna go with Comic-Con because I've been. Oh, okay, is that
No, no.
enough? Because I've been to a water park. We sort of went to celebrate many years ago, and it's not the same. I don't remember this where it was just a jam-packed, tepid water of people just sort of floating in unison just to escape the heat. It just sort of lost its luster.
We love ourselves the lazy river.
Yes.
I do love a good
The
lazy,
lazy river is nice because you can at least get some space, but this really felt like everyone was like, can we all just get jammed in just to this bathtub? Sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Those are awful. Iron Man or Iron Dan? Iron Man or Iron Dan?
I'd say Iron Man. Iron Dan. Am I, what? What's Iron
I
Dan?
don't know what Iron Dan is.
Am I wrong?
Nerd Fox, let us know. 108. Reddit or Twitter?
I have to say Twitter. I've only done one Reddit.
Yeah.
Blu-ray or digital download?
Blu-ray.
Correct.
You
That's
own
correct.
it.
Looney Tunes or Scooby-Doo?
Oh, that's a tough one. I'm gonna go with Looney Tunes.
Also
Correct.
Okay. Oh,
Got them all
wait, I
correct.
Yeah.
Got them all
these
right.
were.
You
You
nailed
said
them.
these were.
Oh, that's right, I did.
Okay, but I'm glad I got them right. Thank you.
You enjoy the Twitter?
I do.
Yeah.
I went through a phase of really doing a lot when the movie's going out. We were driving around and trying to sort of keep up and do that kind of thing. So I'm not always doing it, but every now and then, you know. It's nice.
Who are the artists? Did you follow anyone ironically, or do you follow?
I don't have any
anyone-
ironic ones right now. I just sort of read Steve Martin, enjoy that.
Sure. Joel McHale may have told you, if not, that
No.
he and I are technically responsible for Steve Martin being on Twitter.
Really? How's that?
Even though I think he gave credit to Tom Hanks in the book he wrote of his tweets. We were on a unwatchable film called The Big Picture.
I remember the big.
No.
No, the big,
Big Year.
The Big Year.
The big
Yes.
picture's very
Big
watchable.
Picture's fantastic.
Very
Big
watchable.
picture as well. I just
Christopher-
had a conversation about the big
Chris
picture.
Guest, I love The Big Picture.
Fantastic.
Yeah, The Big Year. So we were in a holding room waiting to shoot. Joel, Steve Martin, and myself. Our scenes, Joel and my scenes are all with Steve. So while we're sitting there, Joel and I are on our cell phones. And Steve said, "What are you two doing? That is really taking your focus and attention." And I said, "Sorry, yeah, I was on Twitter." And Joel said, "Yeah, me too." And he said, "Okay, I've had enough already with the Twitter. What is it? How does it work? Should I, shouldn't I?" And yeah, and he took to it
Well, yes. In a
and
great
realized
way.
that it was this creative outlet.
It is.
Yeah.
It seems like it's telling a small story.
Right.
You know? It's great.
Could you imagine, though, if you had like if I read a tweet and then I asked you, did that tweet come from Justin Bieber, Tyra Banks, or Paris Hilton? And you had to guess. And the name of this game was called Who Tweeted?
Uh-huh.
We've invented that game. Sam Levine's the host. Let's play an arousing round.
God, yes.
Who tweeted?
Oh, it's exciting now.
Exciting.
Look.
We'll be able to hear the intro.
To me more.
Yeah.
And we've changed it.
I have to interrupt for a second.
Oh, okay, good.
Because our
There's a question coming in.
no, our
Nerd Fox clarified?
no. The other fans are clarifying. Dan Harmon dressed as Iron Man at Comic-Con.
There you go.
There we have it.
Boy, now I'm a complete.
so glad we figured it
I should
out.
have said Iron Dan.
It was a need to care basis for you.
I don't.
Yes, but I will say that it's terrible because I helped put it on him and take it off in the bit.
Maybe you.
Oh, in the bit. Okay.
In the bit. Oh no. Oh yeah.
Well, I
no.
didn't know if.
Yeah, it got weird, but
Maybe you're
oh,
blocking
what?
it. And that's why you didn't remember. Oh my God. Your brain
Wait
is
a
now
minute.
protecting you.
Yeah.
The
from
things
this
we do
horrible-
for regular television work. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
Sammy, what have you got? I tried to set it up differently this time.
I appreciate that.
All right.
You're adding some variety to it. But this is it's sweeping the nation.
Okay.
It's called Who Tweeted, and here's how the game works. So one at a time, I'm going to read a series of 8 tweets.
Okay.
And all of these tweets were authored by either Tyra Banks, Paris Hilton, or Justin Bieber.
Okay.
So when I read one, as soon as you feel that you know who wrote it, you ring in by saying your name.
Okay.
Or Kevin will ring in by saying his name.
Okay,
You're playing
great.
against each other.
Oh, okay.
I will point to whoever rings in first, and then you have 3 seconds to say either Tyra, Paris, or Bieber.
Or Bieber.
Ringing, you get it right, you get yourself 5 points. Ringing, you get it wrong, you lose 3.
Wait, there's a penalty for an incorrect answer?
Wow.
Damn straight.
We can go into
And
this negative 3.
at the end of 8 points, unless there's a tie, the winner will be walking away with that $20 bill.
$20 bill.
At the end of 8
US
questions.
dollars. That's right.
Okay.
Are you ready to play?
Oh man, I could
Who
use
Tweeted?
that $20 bill. All
Just
right.
saying.
Here we go.
You may or may not get home.
Yeah.
Tweet number 1.
Okay.
Awesome night in the studio. Just got home. Now time for an awesome night of Apple TV.
Jim. Bieber.
You would think so.
You would think so.
I'm wrong.
Paris?
Unfortunately,
It's Tyra.
that's Paris Hilton.
Remember, she's a recording artist.
That's right.
Did
She's
not
known
know
for
that.
her recording
I have
artistry.
to think. Okay.
Remember that.
This is like
You
that.
think-
This is like that. Yeah. All of the above. It's like that trick. I gotta.
It's a little bit. It's a little tricky.
We're going for the not so obvious.
It's a little tricky.
Yes.
All right.
Good.
Tweet number 2.
We like to let the guests know that
After.
after they've got one wrong.
Yes.
Yeah, no. I love starting negative 3. This is. I was a 3, so this is a great place.
Please no.
Come from.
We've had versions of this game end -15 to -12.
Okay, good.
It's not. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Did I
number
get any
2.
right last week, Ryan?
I believe you might have gotten 1. You might have had 1.
Let's not remember.
That's nope, not a single. Okay, Here we go. Tweet number 2.
Uh-huh.
I've heard on Fridays haters come out to play. Put on your armor so they don't destroy your weekend.
Kevin Tyra.
That is correct.
Oh!
I should have gone with my gut. I was going to say Tyra.
That is correct.
A little too positive.
It's all right. It's all right. You never know. Tweet number 3. So you know when you're working really hard and can't for the life of you recall what day of the week it is?
Nope, I can't. Oh,
Jim Bieber.
yes. That's what I was going to say.
Really?
Sorry,
You
no.
son of
Also
a bitch.
Tyra.
I would have totally gone
Also,
with Bieber.
Bieber doesn't tweet anything.
We forgot to tell you, none of these
None of
will
these are
actually be. Wouldn't that be? Wouldn't that be awful?
So far, I'm just obsessed with what Bieber might be saying.
It's all right.
That's all right.
Tweet number, maybe he said this. Tweet number 4. If you have a team that
Kevin
loves you,
Bieber.
I want to say no. I want to give you negative points for that. Just because you're not
Boo.
playing the game, you're just playing the odds.
Take that one out. That wasn't even fair. I literally jumped. What did you say? 3 words?
I think I did.
Yeah, take
Yeah.
that one out.
As
What
it
were
happens,
the,
that was
what were
Justin
the 3
Bieber.
words really quick? Let's just go back over.
If you have a team that loves you,
That's all you got out?
you will always be okay. # advice.
Yeah, strike that
Boy,
one. We'll
you
play
know
it.
what? I'm glad you guessed beforehand because at the end I would have started hating him more. Once I knew it was him. For
This
going,
tweet is stricken
advice.
from the record.
# advice.
Struck from the
advice.
record, does not count, never happened.
All right, here we go.
Tweet number 5. Try to figure out what to name my 16th fragrance. Does anyone have any
Jim,
cool ideas?
Paris,
It has
please.
to be Paris.
Yes,
Come on,
please.
finally one. Although
is
Bieber has
I
at
wanted to
least
say
4.
Bieber so
I think
bad.
they all do, actually.
Yeah.
I think
They
might
all, they absolutely
they all
do
have
agree.
I
fragrances.
really
but
wanted it to
yes.
be
That is
Bieber just to be
anyone's grab
true.
bag.
And like, how does he have 16? And I love the idea after 15 he goes, I got one more in me.
And literally did.
Yeah. You know, it's like I like the idea that someone fell in love with just a bunch of words and like I had to get a fragrance for each one of those words. They're all one word.
I could just picture him in the lab going, a little more sandalwood.
Yeah, a little bit.
What we need here.
Mm-hmm. My fans will know this is not perfected.
Tweet number 6.
Okay.
Mistakes are key.
Ooh.
Let's see. Mistakes are key.
Kevin Paris.
The game just got a little closer. I'm so sorry. That was Justin Bieber. Wow. That was Justin Bieber.
What was it again? Mistakes are what?
Mistakes are key. Making it now +2 to -1.
Wow.
Someone wrote that for Bieber. That's way too Yoda.
Mistakes are key.
This is
That's way too
exciting,
Yoda
Dave.
for that.
I don't know.
Getting exciting.
He might have thought, key,
Number
like a keyboard,
7.
sort of punish.
Right. This key doesn't work. It's a mistake.
Yeah.
Oh.
So many levels.
Mistakes are out of key.
Yeah.
There. Much better.
That's okay.
Mistake in the key of life.
Life.
Ooh, I like what you did there, Stevie. Tweet number 7. Trying to decide what project to bring to you next. Got so much to share with
Jim,
you.
Tyra.
God, kill me.
Ladies and gentlemen, taking the lead.
Commandingly.
With only
No,
one
I just knew it. 'Cause
tweet
she's got
to
so
go.
many
How
things
did
going.
you know?
I just felt like she's got everything going on. She's the type of person that would say, I got a book, I got this, I got all that kind of stuff.
Wow,
Because
this
I don't
is
know
it.
how you're more diverse than Paris.
This
at
will
point.
decide the
true.
game in a way that rarely comes up.
Wow.
+4 to +2.
That's right, +4 to +2.
Wow, it really will.
The 8th and game deciding tweet. I will be with you soon.
That's it?
As if a doctor said it to you.
I will be
In the
with
waiting
you
room.
soon.
I will be with you soon.
That's tough. I'm just going to go out on a limb. Jim. Bieber.
That's what I would have said.
That is how you play and win. Nails it.
Thank you.
Very well
Thank
done,
you.
sir.
Oh my
and
God.
This
Wow,
is
for
going to
real?
go
Oh,
right
please.
over there.
From a -6
Right over there.
hole.
All the way
Wow.
back.
Climbs back to
From
victory.
the way
Well, thank you.
back.
Yes.
Oh, nice.
nice.
You're a winner.
Way to bring it
Nice.
home.
Jim
Very
Rash,
nice.
that is how you
Thank
play and win. Who
Thank
tweeted?
you so
Nice
much.
job, sir.
Wow, that's okay. I owe a lot of this to Bieber.
Well,
I knew him better than I thought I did.
yeah, that's comforting.
Yeah, yes. No, well, it depends. I'm okay with it. He's got great advice.
Yes. How to wear droopy drawers. Let's talk about editing, if you don't mind.
Mm-hmm.
As a writer, it is so often called the final rewrite.
Yep.
But if you've written and then directed, it really is the final rewrite for the same two folks, in your case,
Yeah.
all the way through the process, having been with this material for 8 years or more, having it been in the hands of other people at various times. You've cast it. You can't believe you got these amazing people. It all lined up perfectly.
Yeah.
You and Nat get to act in it to incredible fun and I'm assuming great enjoyment.
Yep.
And now you get to editing. What surprises? What happy accidents?
Even before that, because even when you were looking at, we couldn't afford playback, so
It sounds like you said you did not have video playback on this film.
we did not.
What does that mean?
Because-
is it really that much? Of
Well,
an
because
expense?
there's specific people for that
You
job.
need Video Village.
A video,
You need a person.
yeah, we
and
have
a
Video
thing.
Village. Yes, there's a specific thing for playback, and that's a cost. So
Could you watch it being shot?
Yeah, you could watch it being shot. So we would obviously watch it in the yes, you can see the monitor. What you can do is sort of revisit and look back in the moment. And so we were getting obviously the dailies, and so that was your chance to sort of hopefully say, well, maybe we can pick that up again tomorrow if possible. But we didn't really have. I mean, we shot this movie in 25 days.
But it was as if you were in the 90s.
Yes, as if something was not technologically available to us, but I'm sure they did. Dailies, yes.
When your line producer came to you and said, "Here's the cost with playback, and here's the cost without it," was it also a matter of time? Because it can be time.
I think it's a little bit of everything. That conversation, I think, is like when you pick and choose. I think there are probably a lot of places that don't have that. Let that one go, maybe, but it is. I guess it's a specific,
Yeah.
another department. And so anyway, the answer was, so you just never know. You're watching this stuff and you think, I think this is working, you know. And then when we got back there, you do have that first watch where, you know, your heart sinks a little bit because you're just sort of like, you know, you start thinking about all the things you don't have.
Right.
But then as you start to edit and you realize, oh, we didn't need it in the first place, you know, you realize you overthought it. You know, it's always going to be regrets, like, oh, I wish we got one more take of that, but that's what we got, and it will work, you know. We never did that establishing shot. All right, well, we don't have that, so let's get creative. So the budget can sometimes work in your favor in the sense that we couldn't, you know, we didn't do a lot of setups because there's just not a lot of time to, we were limiting ourselves to a few takes and trying to do, we did a lot of scenes in one shot just for both aesthetically for the movie, but also time-wise, just felt smart. So when you get in the edit room, I think you go through that sort of emotional roller coaster of like, what do we have? And then it slowly starts to take form, and you take a step back, and you realize it really is. You write a movie, you shoot a movie, and then you edit a movie, and it will change along the way.
And stepping back for a moment to the directing part, as a team, how did you decide? Who was going to say action? Did you take turns? Was it a revolving thing? The scenes that he's acting
little mini game shows like what we just did. Just little private.
Rochambeau.
Yeah. Between every take. Jim and
Guys,
Matt are doing it
I know
again.
we're on a tight schedule. We have to have this game.
We got to go best of 3. Sorry,
Yes.
guys.
All right, so let's just do, for this one, we'll do a little 100 relay in the pot water. No, we...
I mean, was it as simple as when there's scenes that he's acting in, obviously you'll do it, and vice versa?
Well, that was easy then, and then there were some disastrous scenes where we were both in the scene, and neither of us had thought about what was going to happen, and those were more of the comical, it was like on our first day of shooting, I think probably the crew was like, what the fuck? Because we literally were in the same scene together, because rain came and we had to move inside on our very first day, and there wasn't a lot of scenes to be shot inside at the water park, and we were shooting there first.
Oh, yeah.
So we had to go inside and shoot this party scene earlier than we expected because we had sort of put our scenes towards the middle of the shoot to let us get our sea legs and not deal with that kind of thing. So now we're getting into makeup and we're getting that scene and we're doing the scene, and then there's just this long lull after everything's over, and then you just hear from the other room, like as a question, one of our producers going like, cut? You know, we had not really worked out the fact that neither of us we were both on camera. And so we rectified that. But for the most part, I think we just try not to inundate, you know, we would try to do everything together, obviously,
Sure.
but, you know, I think we would always be there, but one would be sort of speaking and conveying that, or we take turns on that idea. But, you know, it's important that we share this experience together and be on the same page, so we would often, you know, before we even went over, made sure that we weren't feeling differently.
Were you ever tempted to fuck with one of the actors by having one of you go up to them, give them direction, and then the other one come up saying, look, I know this is what Jim said, but...
I like to burn Nat the most, you know. It's like, just say, no, say it to him, and then in the moment, just go like, I don't know what you're talking about. That's the worst note I've ever heard. I am so sorry, Tony. Do you mind if I speak to you professionally for a second?
Had either of you directed before?
What's that?
Had either of you directed?
No, except for directing at the Groundlings and,
Right.
and theater and stuff. No, this was really terrifying.
Did you rehearse or take any time
With
to
actors?
figure out how you were going to just say action?
I think.
Because I did, and I'm
Did you?
embarrassed. I'm embarrassed to admit.
How did you do it?
But I decided I'm too embarrassed to even say now.
But would you walking around in a room by yourself going, action?
No, I just gave it some
Action.
thought. How do I?
Action.
Well,
Action.
first of all, I auditioned some people
Okay.
saying it so I could learn from them.
Okay, good.
Give me the
Smart.
keys, you fucking cocksucker action.
Yeah,
Like that? You
Yeah.
had a bunch?
There's some directors who don't like action because it terrifies the
I've never
actors.
met one of them.
Yeah.
I've met a number of directors.
But you've
Ken
heard that,
Klopis,
right?
Chief among them, who won't say action because he doesn't want to jar the actors.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's like loading the horses into the gates and going, whenever you want horses, just. But what the? Come on, man. We need the gun.
I like just that silence or whenever you're ready.
Go ahead. Whenever.
Yeah.
And then we're in the scene.
Yeah. Whenever
And we're
you're
looking
ready,
at
it's
each
not
other.
bad.
Phil, were you ready? I'm so sorry.
Yeah, that's the problem.
I'm sorry. Kevin looked at me weird. I'm so sorry. I said Phil, and then he panicked, and so I thought,
Yeah.
we shouldn't start.
And those guys are all from the era of actual film.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which you're sitting there waiting for the actors to go, the first AD's going, the producer, the money guy's going, the fuck is going? They're just sitting there.
Yeah.
Somebody say action.
Well, you mentioned about the.
And I also want to meet the actor who gets terrified. Action.
See, you don't ever say action to an actor.
Well, if I may, 17 pages of dialogue that come from a fax machine.
No,
That actor.
That hearing action on that day was as if they had just stabbed me in my eye. but did you actually come up with a way that you wanted?
Well, no, I remembered all the directors that I was fortunate enough to work with and various methods that they had used, and just sort of went with the one that made me most comfortable.
And what was that one?
I don't want to say because it's embarrassing now.
Come on, Kevin.
Come on.
Action, please.
Very nice.
And-
I like that. Well, don't be embarrassed by that.
That's very polite.
Action, please.
And who?
I was hoping you were saying action, I love you.
Well, my least favorite that I'd heard about was, who was the guy who was he put nipples on the Batman costume.
Schumacher.
Joel, yeah.
Joel, who on the movie with Julia Roberts when she's dying of cancer says, "You're dying, and you're dying, you're near death, action."
Steel Magnolias?
No, there's
No?
another one, maybe called Dying.
Oh, that's not cancer in Steel Magnolias. She doesn't have cancer.
No.
Wait, is that the one where the guy she's with is the one that I forgot?
That's
Maybe.
Dying Young.
Dying
Campbell
Young?
Scott. Yeah.
Oh, so he was sort of saying the title too. You're dying,
You're dying,
you're
you're
dying,
young.
you're in dining young.
You're young,
dying.
you're attractive, but
dying.
not anymore.
It's working title, go.
Yeah.
Yes. It was learned by doing. It really was.
Yeah.
I mean, we had experience as actors, and we sort of taken all the things, just like you, what we appreciated on the sketch, that kind of stuff. And then we obviously sat down with many, not that you can ever be prepared. I mean, we sat down with obviously friends and who were both first-time directors or second-time or beyond to sort of chat about that first experience. And they can tell you whatever, and they can tell you everything, and you think you can go prepared, and then it'll be 10 times probably worse or whatever. So it's great advice, but at the same time, it's like your experience will be very unique to you.
Well, I asked because I went around to a small handful of actors who directed specifically to find out. And the one question I wanted to know was, what was the one thing that you wish you could have back? Right?
From their first experience?
Yeah, just from the first time. I thought Tom Hanks was pretty great. He said his cinematographer was Fujimoto, who I'd worked with a few times, and he said he woke up. Tom woke up in the middle of the night with this epiphany, and the scene is the band is coming in that thing you do. They're coming into the first big theater they're ever going to play in, and they're supposed to walk down the side towards the stage and sort of take it all in. And he realized that there was this giant chandelier in the middle of the thing. So he had this thing, and he went in the morning and said, "Tack, I got this great idea. We're going to start on the chandelier as we hear the guys come down the thing, because that's not terribly interesting. And we come off the thing just as we catch them at the thing." And Tack says, "Okay, why don't we have the actors come in and rehearse the scene, and we'll stand on the side and sort of see what they do and decide where to put the camera." And Tom said, "Oh, you mean like every other situation you'd ever be in?"
Right.
So I should let go of these
So let go of those
epiphanies
ideas.
at 3 in the morning, because they don't really serve anything.
Yeah, because then they could talk about it after the fact. Yes. No, we had the same thing.
Yeah.
Talking to John Bailey was our DP, who has done everything,
Right.
and they had the same thing. Like, you have all this ideas. It's like, well, let's get them in here and we'll rehearse it and go from there.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So-
Action, please.
Yeah. So did you have a moment that you would attribute to the one thing you could take back from your first time directing that you won't be doing again?
Well, the first thing that comes to my head is not something I did as much as what the whole experience. I think I'm going to try to enjoy it more.
Yeah.
And by that I mean I was so stressed and so to a place where you would take home the stress, and because it was Nat and myself and his wife and his kids living in the same house with the producer, and I was like the guy up at the top floor with no door. It was just it was a wonderful situation, but at the same time you wanted to go home and just sort of decompress, but you had these wonderful kids and you play with them and all that kind of stuff. But when I look back on it, I feel like I didn't take that time to just sort of breathe and sort of take in what it was this 8-year journey had been about.
Right.
And I don't think that emotionally hit me until Sundance, really. Once we got up on stage at Sundance, I think it was a sort of cathartic sort of swell of release of what we actually had done. And I just wish I had that moment to it just felt like the clock was ticking, and it was, but there's always time for a breath, and that's the only thing I think I would take that. Obviously, you know, I think everything you learn, you want to be better the next time, and I'm always,
Sure.
as a writer, I've always felt like that way. I've known when I went to Groundlings, and I would do a sketch, go, this shit stinks, this was good, this shit still sinks. You know, everyone thinks you have this amazing idea that you're just like, once you have a good sketch, all this is going to go easy for you. You know, how do you do it? I said, I don't. You just keep failing and learning and failing, and you just don't know.
Right.
So I take that into both those, and I would take it into the next time.
But that's a tremendous piece of advice, as simple as it may sound, which is don't forget to enjoy the experience.
Yes.
Be present, but if you're not having fun, what is
Why are you doing this?
the point?
Yeah.
Speaking of which, and historical moments, you mentioned Sundance. I would be remiss if we didn't talk for a few moments about what could be considered the sale of the century. So
Yeah.
you've been on this 8-year journey. You've done this film. It's your directorial debut.
Yeah.
You've done the writing and the directing, and now the final rewrite and editing, and you log print, and you show up at Sundance, and you hope for some kind of sale.
Some kind of
These
sale.
are troubled financial times. It's not a flourishing place, Sundance.
Yeah, no. I didn't know, you don't know what to expect. And in hindsight, I'm glad I didn't understand sort of how it worked, because I think then you would have had more anxiety, because to me, we were obviously, yes, hoping that someone would see the movie and want to pick it up and distribute it. But at this point, all I could think about was that only 40 people have seen this, and none of them are the actors, and none of them are our friends and family. They're just, I mean, there were a few friends, I take that back, that sort of we brought in and sort of watched in small rooms and said, what do you think, or what are you feeling? But most of them were directors or stuff themselves. So here's all these people, and you're in the largest theater they have at Sundance, which is Eccles Theater. 1,500, I think, is the capacity. Beforehand, you're a nervous wreck. They even know this, so they have, you know, scotch or something handy. They said, "You want a shot?" And we were like, "Yes." And I'm not even that big a scotch lover, but I was that day. And so you take this, or not scotch, it was a shot of bourbon, I guess. That's probably offensive if someone at scotch goes, "You don't shoot that." You stupid fucker. How dare you? I don't know. This shows, never mind, I digress. So anyway, because...
I just wanted to know about the scotch.
No, because everyone at home was just sort of like, this guy doesn't drink. He just lied.
No, lots of people don't drink. You can shoot anything you want, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
You can have bartenders yell at you and judge you.
Yeah. Oh, good.
Just deal with it. Enjoy it.
Why? What do
Okay.
you shoot that they yell at you for?
I'm not going to tell you.
Okay, the type of drink you like. Maybe, I don't know.
So you
okay,
have a little
back to
something
the
to calm
things.
your nerves.
So we have something to calm our nerves. Yes. Back to the story.
Had you done test screenings before that?
No, we just did not for a test or whatever. We did like a smaller group of people and had them write it out, but they were all friends or family, not family, but friends. And so, anyway, Nat and I introduced the movie briefly. I definitely, you get a little choked up while you're talking about it. Joined sort of our cast and our family and friends sort of an area and started watching this movie, and then you're just sort of watching it with this group, and you can't help but just sort of live from scene to scene, going like, I hope they like this, and you get a few laughs, and that sort of builds, and you're like, okay, this is going really well, and then you just sort of started to relax, like this is really playing great, and it ended, and they invited us back up the stage, and we're going to call up the actors one by one so we can do a little Q&A.
Who did you have present?
Everybody.
Wow.
Everybody, but Rob Corddry was not there only.
Fuck him.
Fuck him.
Yeah, no,
Thank
no.
you.
He's
now
been here.
this is
and you know what?
really the where I need to get on this platform and talk about this. No, he had Hell Baby there as well, and they were having a screen at the same time. No, he's a lovely, wonderful man, and. I think for the most part we had everyone. Maybe him and Amanda. I think Amanda was shooting a movie, but we had the rest of the cast, and it was a standing ovation. And in my head, I thought this is very normal.
Well, they're just being sweet.
I thought they were being sweet. I thought this is an independent movie. We're celebrating these movies. Yeah. Everyone gets a standing ovation.
Steve Carell's here.
Steve Carell's
they don't
here.
want to embarrass him.
And this was before we even, I guess it was. This was before we even started bringing them up, I think. But anyway, we brought them all up and we did this short Q&A. And that was definitely the moment where from the Q&A and from the excitement there that I realized all that stuff had sort of, what we had actually done. So there was a lot of getting emotional and even during the Q&A. And then when we came off, everyone's like, this never happens.
And you said, what do you mean?
And I go, what are you talking about? It's like a standing ovation. People sometimes leave at the beginning of these movies, like 20 minutes in. I'm like, and then your brain goes, there's a chance someone leaves? So they leave? And they go, well, you just never know.
Yeah.
And we went.
Hell Baby's playing.
Yeah, it's true. They could be running off to whatever. And so that idea didn't even occur to me, and maybe some people did, I don't know. But then we go in the parking lot and it's one of those things where there are four calls already asking about the movie, and then you go into this weird night of they're all in condos, moving from one to one, talking, playing that game while Nat and I are drinking at some bar, and they just say, don't get too drunk because we're going to call you in at some point. And you can't tell Nat that, this.
Yeah,
Because he just goes, oh yeah, totally.
You can't tell Nat don't drink?
No, well, he's going to go, yeah. But he's obliterated.
Yeah.
And for some reason, they kept calling him on his cell phone. He's like, we got to go. It's like 3 a.m. they're calling us. So, and our movie was at 3 in the afternoon.
Wow.
I think. So at 5:30 we started drinking, and at 3 a.m. they call us, now it's time for us. So then you go into these weird condos and they sit you down with these studios and they said, let me tell you how we would, market your movie, why you should come to here or here or here. In our brain we're always like, Searchlight's where we literally began. Like Sean Levy was going to direct this movie for Searchlight. So it was like we just knew we needed to get back to, and Searchlight luckily was one of the aggressors on the department. So anyways.
What was the one thing Nat might have said to one of them that alcohol might have contributed to a coffee?
Well, he asked for coffee way too fast when we got in there. So his tell. And the actor, on Club Dread.
Yeah.
He's one of those actors.
He's one of those
You can
actors.
sort of see what he's doing.
Yeah, he didn't.
We can say it because he can't defend himself here.
Right. He was never sober enough to learn any of his lines anyway.
No, that was a party. Come on.
Yeah.
That was a party.
That really was
you're
a
shooting a
party.
movie in Mexico with the Broken Lizard guys. Your party.
I can't believe that a script even existed.
I mean, talk about a place where they were like, for action, it was like, just fucking start.
Yeah.
Speak
You're
now.
not wrong.
Or a burp started everybody.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that was the Sundance experience. It was amazing.
Was the number 10 million? That's what's in the dossier.
It was, I guess so.
Public record says 10
Yes,
million.
then go with public record, yeah.
Shigow.
And the movie was made for just like 4.7, 4.8.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Extraordinary, if not
For
historic.
25 days, I know. It was amazing how much we stretched. I know it's still a lot of money in our minds, but not when you're trying to shoot a movie.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously things get made for a lot less.
No matter what number they give you, it's not
But
enough.
when you have, all these actors are obviously working for much lower than they would even be making. And that to me is like the same thing. It's like the allure of television or a good story, of hopefully working with certain actors, I think is always, what we look for, hopefully.
Yeah. I can't thank you enough for spending time with us.
That was a blast.
I feel as though I've forced you to overstay your welcome.
No, not at all.
There was one damn good community question that came in from the interwebs at YapYap92. Jim, what's your most and least favorite Dean outfit?
Oh. I think My most favorite is, and I think I've said it before, so is when I was Lady Gaga in a zombie episode. Just because it was, they had made this amazing jacket just for me. You know, this wasn't like something they just sort of made to fit. They were just like, no, we made this leather jacket for you. And that was just sort of a blast, just because I think also based on that episode and what I was doing in that particular costume. It's not really my least favorite, but it was just the most that obnoxious to be in was we did one in the 4th season where I was a housewife, a 50s housewife. So they wanted me to look completely like I was in black and white amidst everyone else. So I was wearing a black and white, dress, black wig, black nail polish, and my skin was covered in gray makeup in my face. So everything except for where the clothes were, my legs. And let me just tell you right now, when you when you slather on gray makeup paint or whatever it is over a good hairy leg, what happens is not an it's like literally I just had knee highs all of a sudden appeared on my life. I'm not that hairy. I'm just sort of saying. I mean, look clearly, but I couldn't touch anything. No. So the whole day there was nothing to do. There was nowhere to be comfortable. And I know in the grand scheme of things, people are like, "Ooh, high class problem," but that would be my least favorite.
Yeah. Well, no. The question was.
No, Yabba wanted to know.
If I could, I'd like to spend the next hour talking about your work in the film Slackers.
Oh, for a whole hour?
At least.
All right, let's get started.
Yeah. I've got to get him out of here. Could you do it in 60 seconds instead?
Ask me.
So what was your favorite outfit and least
I loved the I played a teacher's assistant. And I remember I was in I'm gonna have to say that it was the same because I only worked one day.
Oh!
Yeah. It was
weird.
The one they put me in. Okay. It was my most favorite and my least favorite.
Oh! Asked and answered, Capo.
I've played a lot of school people. I just realized that when you said that.
A lot of school administrative people and
you get I guess people just accept something.
Yeah.
You go through those phases where I think I started out as sort of the I think my first job felt like I was in a sort of persnickety assistant, and then I somehow then you moved into nerd phase, like real neurotic, and then now I'm sort of sexually ambivalent phase of my career.
Right.
Yeah.
I was just Jew. How's the development for the Kristen Wiig movie that's going to hopefully be in the tone vein of Raising Arizona?
Great. We have turned in the script, and they seem excited about it. We got our notes and wasn't crazy, but if everything comes together, I'm hoping we do that next year. But yes, I love that movie. Raising Arizona, not that I'm looking for us to ever replicate such a brilliant, but I love the tone of this sort of really eclectic, weird people, real, but this wonderfully heightened area that it's I would never even probably get close to something like that, but I love that movie.
Well, good luck with it.
Yes, thank you.
And all of it, damn it.
Oh, all of it, damn it. Thank you. Action, please.
We're going to call upon your groundlings, training, and teachings for the final moment of the show. Yet another thing I did not warn you about prior.
Great.
We close the show with another game that we call the Larry King game.
Okay.
And basically, I'm looking for you to reenact that moment on Larry's show on the CNN, where he would go to the phones. But right before going to the phones, he'd look into the camera and share something about himself that no one really needed to know. Nobody. So it's that little Larry moment. I want a bad Larry King impression. No pressure to do a good one.
Okay, great.
I want a bad Larry King because that's what makes me laugh.
Yeah.
And then Larry sharing something about himself.
Before he goes to the phone.
And then go to the phone. If the name of the city is funny sounding, it's not going to be bad.
Okay.
That's your camera.
Right.
When you're ready, let her rip.
Okay. We're going to go to the phone right now. Let me just... I've often thought to myself, if I ever owned a zoo, would I feel comfortable putting those animals in cages? And my answer would be no. A Larry King zoo would be one where we freely roam, like a Noah's Ark without the walls of the ship. Now, I know most people would disagree with me and say, that's not safe, Larry. Kids could be devoured, adults could be devoured. But at the end of the day, what a wonderful moment if you do get close to an animal and get to physically actually touch it and nothing happened. That's a memory I want to give to any of my kids. Larry King going to Sausalito, New Mexico. I couldn't think of it. I'm sure there's not a Sausalito, New Mexico.
That's fabulous.
I'm sorry.
Now, he takes calls from all over the world.
Sausalito came to my head, but I had no place to put it.
Sausalito brought it home.
That may be our first Larry King double take, by the way, for the... On second thought, before we go to that,
because I like to be hit with it. He got hit with that.
Yeah, 187.
That zoo thing
He was overwhelmed with something he needed to share.
It just came.
He can't get rid of this zoo story.
Oh, thank you so much. That was perfection in a cup.
Thank you.
Please sit there uncomfortably for 47 seconds while I wrap things up for the folks at home.
But at 48, I get fidgety. So
congratulations.
Thank you.
I will not put any pressure on you in the award season as it comes right smack dab into your face, but simply to say good luck. We're all pulling for.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Mostly you.
Thank you.
Okay.
That's a jerk.
Lynn, I hope you enjoyed your experience here after watching on the interwebs these 4.5 years, 187 something shows. A shout out to Harris, who no doubt is still watching from home. Yeah. Safe journeys to you, and thanks for joining us. It was exciting for us to have you here. We talk about you guys so often. It was just great to have you.
Because they're always texting Sam.
Yeah,
it's true.
Sam is constantly sharing. And Harris, if you're watching at this moment, let me just say, when you get a minute, maybe you stop by. Would it kill you? Ryan, thanks for your help once again. Mm-hmm. Jamie and Sammy, bless you. See you at the movies.
I want to.
Oh, we got a little wrap up?
I just want to say what a wonderful job Jim and his partner Nat did at the LACMA Live Read for Boogie Nights.
Yeah.
Jim played the Don Cheadle role.
I did.
And Nat did an amazing Philip Seymour Hoffman impression.
Yeah.
It was very good.
Yeah.
Very
Cheers, not jeers, to both of you.
Thank you.
Kudos as well. Good point, Jamal. Josh and J-Mac did their very best to land this ship from the outer edges of the studio, and Samantha Ward, of course. And Danielle, wonderful media maven, doing a fine job once again to let everybody know about this show. If you want to watch live on the YouTube, you're welcome to. Next Sunday, I'll be off in the San Antone. But there is a possibility there'll be a show on the 9th or 10th, whatever that day in November is, the Sunday.
Great.
We'll let you know if we actually find someone to come in here and sit with us for some time. Until then, who am I forgetting? Oh, David.
Oh,
Intern David.
Intern David.
Bless him for doing yet another amazing job for absolutely nothing. Interns can sue now. Don't tell him. Until next time, and as always, get out of my face.